Welcome to the Brent Daniels Real Estate Live Show. We're talking about how to understand what the value of a fixed up property is under 60 seconds. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this step by step so that you can instantly understand the most important question: deal or no deal, right? That's the toughest one. Is this a deal or is this no deal, right? Or if it is it a cash deal or is it a creative deal? Or should I push it off to a real estate agent to just list the deal? That's kind of the three paths that we have whenever we're speaking to a property owner, and that's available for us to be able to best serve the community, best serve our marketplace, right? Because not everybody's going to be ready for a cash offer. Not everybody's going to be ready for a creative offer. Not everybody wants to list their property. So we have to be able to discover those things, and we want to be able to do that quickly. The faster that we can understand, is this a deal or not a deal, the better we're going to be at this business. Okay? Because deal or no deal, that's where we get stuck. We start doing all the research. We have a good conversation with a property owner, and then we get into research mode, and it kind of like slows down the process if we're not really fast. And the best of the best, Luke Rothvold does a really good job of this. And this is something that I learned from him, and I started doing when I was on the phone with property owners, is I would throw out offers in the first conversation. That's how fast I was able to kind of set a low, kind of a low baseline, a low anchor, as some people call it, to see if we're even in the ballpark with property owners, because we're talking to so many property owners every single day, or we should be. If we have the courage to go out there and talk to a bunch of strangers about their properties, we should be having a lot of quality conversations. But to have a quality conversation with the property owner, we got to talk about the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying. That's the condition of their property, their timeline to sell, their motivation, and their price. So before you start throwing out any numbers and really comping and really understanding, is this a lead? Is this somebody that I want to spend a lot of time with? Is this a really good potential of somebody that's going to do business with me? We have to get those 4 pillars: condition, timeline, motivation, and price. There it is. Boom. I didn't even have to pull it up. Matt did it for me. We are on point today, Matt. Woo! But those are the 4 factors. And what you can do after this show, after this first 30 minutes, and then we're going to have incredible guests coming on the show. I've got Matt Kamp with Deal Machine. He's got some incredible new tools that are going to just blow your mind that Deal Machine is adding to their platform. I've got Jarr, who was one of my original mentors, multi-millionaire, really smart, and has a really unique company now that provides an incredible value. I've got Rafael Coaching, obviously my co-host, and then Billy Bell, who is my original disposition manager, is going to be at the back end of the show. So make sure that you stick with the show. Stay tuned, because each and every guest is going to give you something that you can implement into your business right away. So, but let's look at this. Okay. I want to look at some of these factors. Now, this is a very pretty common breakdown of how to calculate your offer for a normal market. And I'm going to break that down on the board in just a second. But usually you go 70% minus the renovation costs is what you're going to sell that deal for, is what you're going to wholesale that deal for. And then you subtract what you want to make. I always encourage people to put a minimum standard of $15,000 that you want to make on every single deal, but it's up to you. It's up to your market to help you determine if that's realistic. All right. But this is pretty traditional. Now, let's look at this. This is a question that I come across all the time, and we've got a different chart that we use oftentimes for the renovation cost. And this will get you pretty close, right? There's kind of 3 different stages of fix-up costs or remodeling. There's a light remodel, there's a medium remodel, and then there's a heavy remodel based on, what that property needs. Is this a total dumpster fire that needs complete renovation, or is this just something that you can put carpet and paint in, and it's gonna fly off the shelves and sell to somebody really fast? So use this right here. Take a screenshot. if you're ever wondering, as you're walking through or as people are describing to you the condition of their property, you should be using these estimated renovation costs to guide you as to what you can offer. But I'm going to make it quicker. I'm showing you kind of like when you really want to sharpen your pencil, but I'm going to give you a tip for the very first call that's going to help you so much understand the quality of the lead that you're speaking with. But this is really good. If you're above 500,000, so if you're in more of a luxury market or it's just a higher price point, people are going to expect better fixtures. They're going to expect better appliances and just better features in the home. So add 20% to these budgets, and then any major repair cost, add 10,000. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, that's why we do a live show. Put them in the chat so that we can answer all these questions. You should not go away from this show with any mystery as to what to do here when you're giving offers to property owners. Okay. So any major items, HV, plumbing, electrical, roof, all those things, add an extra $10,000. All right. And then what I want you to do very simply is to create a really good idea of the ARV. You want to go into Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. These are all free. And I'll show you an example here. Let me get into share screen. I'm going to go the entire screen. No, I'm going to go window and share that. And we're going to get into here. Okay. Let me see if I can minimize myself a little bit here. Nope. There we go. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I went and pulled up 1212 Banana Street because everybody uses 123 Main Street and whatever. I like 1212 Banana Street. So I found an actual 1212 Banana River Drive. It's not street, but it works. And you look at this estimate here. All right. So you're having a conversation with a property owner. You call them up. You say, hey, Mr. Property Owner, Mrs. Property Owner, wanted to see if you would consider an offer on your property there. And they go, yes, I do want to consider an offer. And you go, okay, great. This is fantastic. And then you kind of scramble and you're like, oh, I don't know what to say now. Right. And then you go into that's fantastic. Well, obviously the condition of the property is important. Can you tell me a little bit about the property? And so they start going into the condition of the property while you are on your computer. Be a pro here. Don't just be walking around with just your phone. You want to be in front of your computer and you're pulling up the screen. Now, if you're using a dialer to make calls, you're going to have a little button. Any of the dialers has a little button that goes straight to Zillow. Right. And what I would do literally is I would just copy and paste it like this. I would do the little right click and I would just search Google here. It's not showing my clicks here, but you right click and it says search Google, and then it'll pop up all the other resources for you. So what I want to do is I want to take the Zestimate here, 590. Perfect. Okay. Then I'm going to look at Realtor. Well, Realtor.com says it's 512. Okay, so 590, 512. I've got those two. I'm sorry, this is Redfin. Realtor.com is 555, 800. Okay, great. And then I like going into flipfinder.ai. This is what we use. It helps us run an incredible amount of comps and make it, really, really, really sharpen our pencils. But this one has a retail value of 608. So I've got 608, I've got 555, I've got 512, and I've got 590. Now, if you're not paying for any service, that's fine. You can just use it for free with Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor. Take all three, add them all up, and divide by 3 to get an average. That's going to give you a pretty good idea. The algorithms in these on these sites are getting really, really, really good. They've got millions and millions and billions of data points that they're working with, and they've been doing it a long time. So they're doing a pretty good job of understanding what a fixed up value is. This isn't the as-is value. This is what they're saying it would sell for on the market if it was in pristine condition. And that's really important to understand. And that's really important to communicate to the property owners, because property owners, they plug in their address into Google and they think it's an appraisal. They think that they understand the condition. They understand what needs to be done to the property. It's ridiculous, right? And so you have to educate them that no, they're pulling what they expect it would be, what it would sell for if it was completely remodeled, if it's looking perfect. All right. So that's a good conversation to have with them, but make sure that you are adding those three up and getting a good average price that you can work with. That's a really good tactic to kind of pull it together really, really, really fast. All right. Now I'll show you how to really refine it and get into the nitty gritty and what you should be looking for. But this is a good way to just go quick at it. Next, I'm going to go back here, stop screen share, and we're going to go into here. This is something that I would do, and this is something that the top callers around the country use. Is they go, okay, well, this one here on Zillow said it was 590,000. I'm going to take 50% of that, right? I'm going to take 50% of the 590,000. So we're at 200 and what is that? 85,000. Let's just say 300. Let's just make it easy. 300,000. And that's what I'm going to throw out. And the way that you throw it out is you say to the property owner as you're talking to him, you say, hey, listen, I'm on my computer right now. I'm looking at what your neighbors are selling for in similar condition. And it looks like they're selling their properties for around 300,000. Is that kind of what you were thinking? Woo, this has made me so much money. This has gotten me so many deals. This has got me so many deals because it disqualifies a tremendous amount of conversations that you have. Because they're like, are you ridiculous? Even after they just told you, right? You went, they said that yes, they would consider an offer on their property. Then you said, well, the condition of the property is very important. Can you tell me about the property? And then they go and they say it's beat up. It needs a new roof. It needs new plumbing. It's been vacant for years, all these other things. And then you throw out 300,000. They go, what? No, I want 600,000 for this property. Right. And you're like, okay. Now I understand what I'm working with here. I'm going to have to bring them down with some facts, but it at least allows me to understand what their expectations are. We need to discover what the expectations are for these property owners. All right. This is absolutely critical. And it's only 50% for the $250,000 properties and above. All right. Now, if it's 250,000 to 100,000, I want you at 35%. So I want you can have literally you can go on Amazon and get like a $5 big button calculator that you're just calculating it, or you could do it on your phone, right? You could just be doing it on your phone or just do it in your mind. But 35 kind of gets a little bit trickier, at least in my stupid brain, right? I'm like, oh, it's 200,000. What is it? 70,000, I think, right? So have a little calculator by you. This is just some tactics that I use that really top performers use to be able to throw out a number really easily, a low anchor, so that you can see how serious they are at selling the property, right? Or at least selling the property at a discount. Or not even a discount at what it's really worth. But if it's 100,000 or less, you want to be at 10%. This drives everybody crazy. I can't tell you how many properties I comp for the Rhino tribe where the fixed up values like 100,000 and the owner wants 60,000 and it needs $50,000 worth of work. There's economies of scale here where the rehab budgets don't really inflate too much bigger, maybe 20%, like we mentioned before. So if you have to put $40,000 into a house that's worth $100,000, you have to put $40,000 into a house that's worth $400,000. That rehab budget is going to eat up a lot of the profits that your investors are looking for. All right. Now let's transition a little bit to what your investors are looking for based on how much inventory is going on in your market. Now, remember this, and this is an interesting little thing here. Supply and demand matters. Supply and demand matters. Why are we in a sweet spot right now? We're in a sweet spot because of this graph. This graph, there was tremendous, over 20 million homes built from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000 to 2010, and then boom, economic crash. And for a decade, we only had 5.8 million homes built. That's 15 million lower than the 60s supply and demand, right? And so if there's a tremendous amount of supply on the a tremendous amount of inventory, it affects how fast investors can turn over their money. And because it affects how fast investors can turn over their money, they want bigger discounts. They want bigger discounts if there's more inventory. Let's go to the board. All right. Now, this is typical. This is like a typical market here where you've got more than 3 months of inventory. And this is very easy to pull up on realtor.com. I'll show you in just a second. But more than 3 months of inventory, you've got your ARV, you've got 70% minus repairs, minus your assignment fee is your max allowable offer. So right between, let me grab this. Right between here and here, this is what you'll wholesale it for. This is the wholesale price, right? You're gonna be adding your assignment fee on top of your max allowable offer. That'll be your wholesale price. This is what they're buying it at, okay? But they want that 30%. That 30% is 20% typically for profit and 10% for costs. And that's closing costs with the title and escrow, the closing attorney's fees, some hard money costs that are involved there in originating and getting the money to close that deal. You've got right now, in the outskirts of town, you can expect that they're giving 3% concessions to the actual end buyer to help them with their costs. That's very common in markets that have 3 months or more of inventory. Okay, this is critical. This you got to look at market by market, not just the whole state, but like very specifically, what is that city doing? Sometimes what's that zip code doing is going to tell you a lot. And this has made us a tremendous amount because we can offer more if we know that a certain pocket is more popular than others, right? If it's less than 3 months of inventory, you're going to be at about 80. Now, right here in Phoenix, we're about 2.5 months of inventory, and we're at about 82% minus repairs is what we're selling these properties for. At the top of the market in 2021, we were at 87% minus repairs. And we would constantly be watching, constantly be focusing in on what this percentage is all the time, because this allowed us to beat out a lot of other offers. I'll give you an example that just happened last week. One of my good friends texted me and he goes, "Hey, did you lock up this deal on Madison?" And I was like, "Yeah, we just did." He offered $146,000 for a deal. That was his max allowable offer. We offered $166K. We offered $20,000 more. Jeremy just sold it for $198,000. $198,000. That's what, 32,000? Because we know in this area, the buyers are at about 82-83% minus repairs. It's really, really, really critical to understand the inventory and what's going on in specific areas. The best way to do that is just experience. And that's why if you're just getting started, I highly recommend you partner with somebody that really knows, does a lot of deals, can really guide you along. Yes, you'll split the deals with them probably 50-50, but you're going to get really good experience. And oftentimes you actually make more. This isn't a plug to like partner with me or anything, but it's really smart if you get somebody that really knows the areas to give you some advice on how much you can offer. Because if we would have just, stuck to the regular numbers here, there was an offer at 132. And he thought he was like gonna snake this deal from the 132, and we got it at 166. And the funny thing is, he thought it would only wholesale for 165. Levels to the game, baby. Levels to the game. Understand, based on the inventory, there's no inventory in this market. Plus, it was zoned multifamily, which makes it different than a single family. And it's in an area where we know buyers want to pick these up to be able to live in. So it's awesome. And then if you're 1 month or less of inventory, woo, go bananas. I mean, San Diego, Seattle, some of these really, 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 really hot markets that people just, I mean, there's just no inventory. Go bananas. Go 90% minus repairs for your max, minus your assignment fee for your max allowable offer. You can do that without a doubt. So it's really important to understand the amount of inventory in the areas that you're talking. So you need to be able to pull these on every single deal, whether it's the zip code, whether it's the city, or whether it's the county or whatever else. Now, obviously, if you are in somewhere that's very rural, you're going to almost always be here. This is why this is kind of the standard, because a lot of people are working on the outskirts, but in main cities, you're going to see that are like appreciation areas, you're going to see this. Okay. And what you'll notice is, this is the interesting thing. What you'll notice is, as you really start sharpening your pencil on what's going on, it almost always ends up right here. It's really close. It's really close in most areas that this is going to give you a really good shot at getting a good anchor early on in the conversation to see if you're dealing or working with somebody that, Thomas, I got you, bro. Really, really, really good. This is really, really good way to throw out a low offer without throwing an offer. Remember what I said. It looks like your neighbors, right? I'm putting it on them somehow, right? Listen to the words. It looks like your neighbors are selling in similar conditions, similar size, or selling for around, boom, 50%, 35%, 10%. I want it to be like they opened up like the oven doors and a blast of heat just blasts them. You know what I mean? I want them to be like, wait a second, what is happening here? Or the beautiful thing is, here's the beautiful thing. You're going to talk to people and they're going to be like, yes, yeah, that seems about fair. That seems about right where we want to be. And it's going to shock you. It's going to absolutely shock you. You're going to be like, I can't believe that just happened. It's awesome. Anyway, okay, so let me show you how to calculate the months of inventory in whatever area. Let's just look at, I'll just pull this. I don't know how big of a market this is. Indian Harbor Beach. Here we go. Indian Harbor Beach, Florida, search. Okay. So here you go. Here's a small example, but it'll make it very easy. Let me share this. Sorry, guys. Present, share. That's Redfin. That's Realtor. Share. Boom. Okay, here you go. So right up here, I'm going to highlight it. 99 homes are for sale. This is showing 99 properties for sale in Indian Harbor Beach, Florida. Then what you go is right here. See this drop down? Listing status. Hide the pending and contingent. So what I want you to do right here is write down that number, right? Active plus pending equals 99. Okay. And then right under that, pending equals. So you go, okay, let's hide the pendings. Boom. Now we've got 79. So now you've got 79 properties that are active. 79 active houses. 79 active. That means that there's 20 pending. Okay. If there's 20 pending and there's 79 actives, you put 79 divided by 20 equals, and it's right about 3.9, right? So let me go back to the board. You guys going to follow me so that we can all take a look at this so that it makes sense to everybody. So I'm breaking this down. Okay. Active plus pending. Pending means that they're under contract. They're in the process of being bought. This is the number. This is the most important number when we're looking at comping. Has nothing to do with actives. Actives are what people are hoping they sell it for. Solds just show us the past. Pendings show us what's current. Pendings are critical. Pendings. So we've got 99, and then we go and we remove the pendings and just get the active, and that showed us that we had 79 actives. All right, that I just doubled that up, whatever. And so we subtract that, that means that we have 20 pendings, 20 that are under contract. And so what inventory means, if no other homes went on the market, how long would it take these 79 actives to be absorbed? And so what we do is we just divide them. Boom. So 79 actives into 20 pendings is, let's just call it 4. Let's just call it 4. So because it's 80 would make it 4, right? 4 months of inventory. So this area is a little bit slower. This area is pretty normal. So in this area, you're going to definitely want to go 70% minus repairs. Boom, minus your assignment fee. Max allowable, baby. Does that make sense, everybody? Put in the chat if I went too fast with that or if it doesn't make sense. But that's a real, I'm telling you, this is number one. When we're, so this has been developed, and I've been able to do a lot more deals than a lot of other businesses because I was a real estate agent for so long. And as a real estate agent, every single day I would have to put together a report of what I thought. I mean, I would have to put together these reports for my listing appointments of what I thought the house would sell for fast, right? What will it sell for fast? And based on the inventory would determine where we priced that property, based on the condition, based on everything with the properties that I was listing. And I got really good at selling listings fast because I was very honest with the property owners. Because property owners want their home sold fast. It's very inconvenient to list your house. If you've ever listed your house and put it on the market and it wasn't like just an unbelievable hot market like we experienced from 19 to 22, if you've tried to sell it since then or before then, you know taking the pets out of the house is a pain, cleaning up everything every single day perfectly so it's show ready every time, getting calls, hey, they want to come see the house at 4:30, but you've got all this other things. It affects everything in your life, right? So people want their houses sold fast. So I really developed the skills of making sure that I was able to list properties at a price that would cause them to sell quickly, right? And I knew what needed to be done to those properties to sell quickly. So use my experience and implement this into your business and really understand everything comes down to supply and demand. Real estate comes down to supply and demand, right? That's why that famous, what's the 3 rules of real estate? Location, location, location is so important because there's certain parts of the country that there's just no inventory and people want to live there. And it doesn't matter if it's a good market or a bad market. I want to know specifically what the supply and demand is in the areas that we're locking up the deals. And that helps to, 1, determine the right price, but 2, helps you to get deals that other people can't. It's awesome. All right. So use these tools. And one last thing before I bring on the incredible Matt Kamp from Deal Machine. I'm going a little bit over here, I think. I'm a minute over. But remember this, when you're really getting good at comping, these are the rules. Location, you want to look at the neighborhood first, and all of them do a really good job. If you scroll down on Zillow, and you should have the Zillow and Redfin app on your phone. I use Zillow when I'm comping for students or even our own deals. And I'm out and about, I can put the address into Zillow, go down, and it'll show you similar homes that have sold. And then you can really see what's going on really quickly. And you want to go neighborhood first. Neighborhood first. This is the way that appraisers do it. Neighborhood first, half mile, then a mile. All right. Next is timeline. 3 months, guys. Go back 90 days. Don't go back a year and think it's a comp. Don't go back 6 months and think it's a comp unless you're really rural, unless there's really no sales. Then you have to time travel. But I would rather you time travel than expand outside of the neighborhood and expand to a half mile or a mile or 2 miles. I see a lot of people go, oh, well, this property sold in the last 3 months 2 miles away, and you're in like a major city. Don't do that. Don't do that. You will get absolutely crushed in this business. All right. Next is age plus or minus 15 years. Size of the property, sweet spot is plus or minus 15%. And remember, guys, floor plans are critical. Comp 1-story with 1-story, 2-story with 2-story, multifamily with multifamily, townhouse, condos, land, all of that. You got to comp them like for like. Okay. Don't go and get that ranch house and comp it with that 3-story basement home. No appraiser is going to use it. No serious investor is going to use it. No cash buyer is going to use it. They want to find like for like. They want you to put in front of them and really be able to explain why this is a deal. And the only way to do that is to work with the appraisal rules. Because remember, most of these properties are going to sell to an end buyer, and most of those end buyers are going to use financing. And if they're going to use bank financing, they need to get an appraisal. So you have to understand the appraisal rules here. So make sure that you do that. And then understand what the condition is and what the potential for that property is. Totally fixed up, beautiful looking, pristine HGTV. Could go and bring a camera crew through there and everybody is dazzled by how beautiful this property looks. What does it sell for? I love you guys. Are we having fun? We're having fun. I think, are you having fun, Luke? Luke's having a great time. Guys, let me know if you're having fun here. Make sure that if you are not subscribed, you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you're getting value out of this. That makes everybody on my staff so happy. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe. Awesome. Guys, it's time. So much fun. Give me some more. I want to bring enthusiasm to this business. I don't want it to be all old and dusty and ego and all this other stuff. I want it to be curious. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be confident, right? Every day, little Bo, my young little man, my 7-year-old, I say, be kind, confident, and curious. Right? If we're kind, confident, and curious as entrepreneurs, we win every time. If we're kind, confident, and curious when we're on the phone speaking with property owners, we win every time. If we're kind, confident, and curious with our cash buyers that we're working with, we win every time. All right. So let's bring more of that to this industry more than whatever else, ego or dry, unenthusiastic, analytical. Let's have some freaking fun. Leisha knows. All right. Or Leisha? All right. Sorry if I butchered it. Matt Kamp, Deal Machine.
Hey, that's me. What's up, Brent?
How are you?
I'm excited, dude. I love you bringing the enthusiasm. The be kind, confidence, and curious. I'm gonna be using that with my kids too. I love that. That's and as you go through all this too, like showing how simple and straightforward you make the comping process, like that is one of the areas of the business that is just so key for, especially that people doing that first deal that takes some time getting used to. Yep. So we're here to help you get that fish on the line, help you do that, do that deal and get in touch with the seller. But love that you are helping people take that next step and do the whole thing, man. So
thank you. Here. Well, first of all, I got to ask you and the audience a very important question. I saw buddy Matthew Potter post on Facebook yesterday and said, can men confidently have Stanleys? What do you think, Matt? What do you think, audience? Is this too apparently like the device that you use for, drinking liquids is makes you manly or not manly? I don't know. Let me know your honest opinion in it. What do you think, Matt?
I prefer the Stanley Cup from earlier this week with the St. Louis Blues brought that home a couple years ago at least. But we've got the Stanley. I mean, it's the confident part. You got kind, confident, and curious. You the confidence, you can pull it off, man.
Doesn't matter. Okay, so you think it's unmanly. Thanks. Okay, I got it.
With the confidence, you got it.
I can read between the lines. That's nice. That's like a backhanded compliment.
I'm kind of curious.
Compliment. There you go. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into this thing. And you've got some exciting. Now, there's some secrets coming out July 1st.
Yes.
And that you are not allowed to tell us, which is really
True.
exciting. We'll bring you back on in July, certainly, and talk about it because it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But what else does Deal Machine have rolling out? And really, what is Deal Machine used for, and how many deals have been done using Deal Machine? Let's start with that.
Yeah, we'll start there. So again, Matt Kamp over here, run partnerships here. My whole goal is to come on here and help you guys be more successful. So I want to share those best practices of what has been working over and over again for our customers. We've had over 10,000 deals done using Deal Machine. We hit that goal, that milestone last year.
10,000.
10,000.
$150 million, guys. If the average assignment fee is $15,000, 10,000 deals is $150 million using this app. We use it in our business. We've used it since 2018 for our Driving for Dollars. Yeah.
Yep. So, and we're always listening to you guys of what's working, how to continue to evolve it. I know what I can show off today a little bit here. Again, we kind of had a quietly rolled out this individual feature. So I can kind of touch on that for a minute. Okay. But you are right. Like the big one that's coming out on July 1st, I can share that link here. I'll throw this in the chat for you guys here. It is just Deal Machine. If the team can broadcast that in any way, it's just dealmachine.com/unveiled TTP. So I want to make sure we spell that right. Unveiled TTP there. That event, that's the big, massive announcement. That is on July 1st. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be doing 3 back-to-backs in a row, but that's going to be the first one where you're going to get a preview of something that goes live right then and there that night. Get trained up on it so you'll know exactly how to use it. And also everybody who shows up, we're going to have a great time. We're going to give away bonuses, giveaways, exclusive deals through that. So come hang out with us. That's going to be a really, really fun night there too. But part of that, and one thing that's been really, really helpful in the meantime is, we've come out there and everything we do, again, it's helping you find off-market deals, right? It's helping you get out there, driving for dollars. Like you said, you've been using us for that since 2018 or, a long, long time. So we've been known for that. Over time, we've added a ton of data to help you build lists, to help you continue to add leads in a lot of different ways, virtual driving for dollars, all that. The next step is that free contact information. We launched that at the end of last year too. So
what does that mean?
That is unlimited free skip tracing. So that was something, guys, we're trying to change the industry with that. Like it has been
change the industry with that, guys. I mean, literally, no, I'm telling you, I think the average in the Rhino tribe that people were spending was $500 a month on skip tracing, without a doubt. Yep. And so, and that was just people starting out that were reaching out to a lot of people, either by calling or texting, scrubbing those lists against the litigators and the DNC and all that. You needed a lot of data, and it costs a lot. Anywhere from 8 to 12 cents an address. And you guys just decided, you know what, we're just going to torpedo everybody and give it out for free. 10,000 free skip traces every month. And guys, I'm telling you, really quality numbers. That's the most important thing, because I was very skeptical. But that's been awesome. Yep.
Rightly so. I mean, that was one thing we knew we had to nail, was the quality of it. Or, then we, like you said, we had a lot of people who were skeptical because it sounds too good to be true. We want to make it so that, hey, it was an upfront investment for us. And our goal was to just over deliver for you guys. And it's been awesome to see the response from it. I'll say, as you go through it, and as you use, Deal Machine, to be able to come in there, and like you said, on the starter plan, you get 10,000 leads you can save. That's $1,000 typically in skip tracing you'd be normally spending. That's free built in there. Our pro plan would be 50,000, so $5,000 worth, and up from there. And it's unlimited on the map. Any lead you click on the map, you get that contact info right there. So that was all built in right there. The one thing I do want to touch on here today, guys, is I know, again, we're always listening to you, always trying to listen of, hey, what do they want next? What is our customer? What would help take it to the next level for our customer? To help you guys with the free skip tracing. we know that, hey, yeah, any skip tracing service, you're going to have, number, or you're going to have contacts that don't have a number that necessarily appears on the first shot right there. And so what we've gone in and looked at is why does that happen? How do we help you guys get a better, more and more of a result for every single property you ever add in there? And two of the biggest reasons, period, that you encounter this would be one, it's corporate owned skip tracing. So corporate owned properties can be harder to track down. And then two, people might move and don't update their mailing address on rental properties and things like that. And so being able to identify ways for you to dig deeper to win those deals, to go all the extra mile and understand how do you find those numbers that aren't necessarily showing up. We really quietly initially rolled it out, but a lot of the best deals you get are because you can go that extra mile, because you don't, the barriers that people run up against, like most people are going to stop there. How do we give you tools to continue to dig deeper for those numbers? And so what is new in here, Brent, you probably haven't seen this yet. We launched a private investigator tool is what we're calling it. It's really a people search tool right there. And
where is it?
If you go into Deal Machine, so you have your account right there. If you go, if you click on a property, let's see.
Okay.
Property there you go. So you see that little like LLC right there. And then there's a little person, that little black number, right there. Yep. Open company search. So what you'll see, there's none on that one. Dang. But I will say the vast majority of these, when you dig in there, that people search, what it's doing, a couple things. One, if it's an individual that's listed on there, it will show you every single person in the US with the same name as the owner of that property. So you can see like, hey, here are all the options for who this person can be. It actually ranks it according to the area code, giving you the most likely person to be that contact to call.
Yep.
And you get all the contact info right there for them too. So you've got obviously all the phone numbers and everything. And then on top of all that, when it's an LLC, it's actually tapping into Open Corporate. I don't know, have you used Open Corporate at all in terms of?
I have every time.
There we go. So it's tapping into their data, pulling that into Deal Machine and saying, hey, we're going to search our LLC database with Open Corporate right here. Can we display any associated offers or officers rather of that LLC right in there for you too?
Awesome.
So it gives you that kind of like next layer down, because I mean those leads are gold, man. Like those are ones that most people don't have access to data that can really, show you that. And when people get stumped, like that's when hey, if I can break through that barrier, I have way less competition because I have access to technology and data that most people don't. So. Yeah.
Just like this.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. So there's all the Victors.
So you guys are really deep diving and finding all of the content. Does this find relatives or no?
So, but you can click on a relative. I mean, you could go, like you've got, let me see here. So those associated contacts go down
here.
Actually back out real quick here for me.
Okay.
And then there's associated contacts. If you look down a little
my gosh. Yeah.
There you go. Yes. So you can scroll.
It's right here.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude. This is amazing.
There you go, man.
Look at this. Guys, this is really, and this is just part of it, or is this extra? What is
it's included. It is now live.
With the base one?
Yes. With our starter plans.
Oh my gosh, guys. You guys, listen, I'm just telling you. We've made a fortune with Deal Machine. That's why I love partnering with Deal Machine, and I love working with them and promoting and being around, because it like 80% of the new students that start that I've worked with get their first deals from driving for dollars. I mean, I've done, I don't know, on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, I've probably done 300 episodes of people getting their first deals and driving for dollars. Deal machine, over and over again, guys, because this is how I started my business. I went out with a pad of paper and a beat up old car, and I wrote down any properties that looked like they needed renovation, any properties that were older. I focused on older neighborhoods, and that's how I did my first 20 deals. Literally, the only thing I did was drive there, knock on the doors, or call them up. And that's how I did my first 20 deals. And it was just boom, boom, boom. But that was really proof of concept. And when you're speaking to a property owner that has a really rough looking property, they only have one option. Well, they have two options, but typically it filters down to one. They can either put significant money into that property so that it could qualify for a conventional loan, or they have to sell it to a cash buyer. That's it. And most of the time it's investors. Most of the time it's not somebody that's like, oh, I'm going to go buy this property that needs everything. I'm going to put in all of this work and then I'm going to live in it. It's very rare. Sure, it happens, but it's very rare. Most of the time, it's the people that we sell to that are fixing up these properties. It's the fix and flippers. It's full-time investors, or at least part-time investors. And so the best way to just know that you're talking to a motivated property owner, or at least the property is in distress. They might not be motivated, but the property is by driving for dollars. It's beautiful. Not only that, guys, but this thing has gotten just absolutely, I mean, you guys just keep piling on the features. I showed it just a second ago. You can literally click this AI button here, and it's like, analyze this property. I want to wholesale it. And it's going to give you this whole breakdown on, okay, this is the estimated loan balance. This is what you should offer based on the way that you train it. You can train this over time. The more that you use these videos that you watch on this YouTube channel and start implementing the things that I just went through over the first half hour of the show, you could put that right into this. And now it's working it like I would be comping it for you. Like it's bananas. Not only that, but guys, look at how many different property, different lists you have. You got expired listings, out-of-state owners, corporate owners, vacant houses, adjustable rate mortgages. You know what I mean? Like high equity, low equity, tax delinquent, senior, zombies, all of these probates, all of these are right here for you to be able to filter through and get all of the most likely people that are going to sell at a discount or sell as is, and just reach out to them. You can even set up automatic mail drip campaigns here that is going to just constantly reach out to them. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's just so much opportunity out there, guys. So the next iteration of this, the next big version of this is going to be, again, announced on July 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's that link going across the bottom of your screen right there, dealmachine.com/unveiledttp. We love teaming up with you guys, Brent. I always appreciate you having me on. It's fun to show the new things we're coming out with here, man.
Thank you, guys. Make sure you guys go check that out. Give some love to Matt Kamp in the comments. Matt, thanks for stopping by.
Always, man. Thanks.
All right, brother. See ya. Awesome. Absolutely incredible. Let's go through a couple more resources that we like using, guys. Deal Machine obviously is fantastic. They do a great job. They're coming up with so many incredible, so many different incredible tools that we're going to be able to share audio. Why can't I share this, Matt? I can't share my screen right now. Oh, cancel. That's why. Let me get into here. Let me share a couple more resources for you guys. Yeah, it's not. I don't know why it's not sharing here, Matt. No, screen sharing was canceled. Oh, okay. We're going to present. This is exciting. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, guys, a couple of resources. One, well, we'll do this. Let's go into the, Matt, why don't you come fix this? And then I'm going to do the balloon toss and give away some cool prizes today, guys, for the live audience here. Number one here, top row, will go with the classic TTP shirt that I wore pretty much every day for like, I don't know, 6 years, and still love wearing, but I like classing it up a little bit on the live shows, you know, a little bit classier. Next is the Rhino hoodie. We're going to do that for the second row. And then third here, which is really exciting, this is the Trapper Keeper of the Day. It is a very majestic, very magical unicorn, which will be, I'm going to throw in Henry Washington's new incredible Bigger Pockets book. and the deal maker. And then I'm going to throw in a pad of our world famous lead sheet so that when you're talking to property owners, you can fill that out and stay organized. So we're going to put all of that inside of this beautiful Trapper Keeper for our 80s and 90s babies. But for all the young, unbelievable entrepreneurs out here, you're going to get a little taste of nostalgia called a Trapper Keeper. We figure it out?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. All right. So we're going to go downtown. Look at that. Look at the tiny balloon. That's incredible. We got a tiny balloon one that we're going with now. We'll wait for Matt to get it on screen, and then we're going to do a little giveaway here. I'm going to aim for the tiny one to give away that, but I have a feeling it's going to end up as the bottom one, which will give you a this is you. You blew these up, Luke. I'm blaming you for that thing. That is a pathetic tiny balloon. It's all. Why did it shrink? I don't know. You got to put more air into it. Come on. Whoa. That's what I thought. As expected, somebody is going to get the incredible book, really great book by Henry Washington. If you don't get this here in the chat, make sure that you order it. He's done a great job, and he's just an incredible human being, an incredible entrepreneur with the lead sheet. And I've been waiting to give away this one, so this one's really cool. I think it actually has some extra stuff in it. Oh, it's got this little cool pencil holder for everybody's pencils. There you go. So this is the iPad of the 80s. Okay, there you go. That's what kept us all organized in the 80s. But a couple couple of these. Let me present, share screen. It's still not. Oh, you got to select it. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. We're going to go first with. I really like this, guys. If you're into doing the novations, don't go at it yourself. Learn from the best of the best. Rich Wonders. You can go to novationking.com. I think this is novationjv.com. This one just says novationking.com/novationjv. Pretty easy to find it, or you could just go to Novation King on Instagram and reach out to him there. But he does a phenomenal job partnering with you. He splits the deals really evenly and fair, and it's an incredible process to watch because you get a lot of deals done that you probably couldn't because people want too much and you want to get a retail buyer for it. So that one's really, really, really great. The next one is the US leads list. And this is really cool. This is the #1 list that we're using right now for people in the Rhino tribe. I talk about it every week because it's really, really, really powerful. usleadlist.com, usleadlist.com. And I'm going to show you this email here that I got yesterday, which is really pretty cool, from Micah, the owner of US Lead List. There. Look at this. The 4th is my favorite holiday, family, friends, fireworks, and fireflies. In honor of such a great things, we're offering $500 off our commencement package, and that gets you 29 months of past data, skip, trace, and scrub for MLS actives and sold properties, full marketing package. So you get the letter templates, you get the scripts, you get all that, onboarding call with the actual owner, lifetime free skip tracing on the inheritance list, 5 people that are connected to family members, connected to anybody. So the US lead list is pre-probate. This is taking all the obituaries of people that had unfortunately just passed, matching that up with their properties and giving you that list to reach out. It's a really powerful list, but you also get free skip tracing. You get 29 months all the way back of history of whatever market that you buy, all of that skip traced. And so that you can just start right away with a really good, robust list to go after, which is really powerful. And they make sure that they haven't already sold or are active on the market, which is critical and saves you from a lot of filtering. You get any other properties that they might own, whether or not it's vacant, and the contracts that they use for locking up these deals. So guys, this is a no-brainer right now for US Leads List. So there you go. And what else have we got? We've got, we'll save it for later. I think Derek's here and he's right on time. I got a couple. Come on in, Derek. He's ready. Guys, this is a real treat. You're right here. Mr. Derek Jarr, how are you? Come on. Come on in. Right here.
Flagstaff.
Huh?
Weren't you in Flagstaff?
Yeah, I should be in Flagstaff, but I'm here during a show at 115 degrees. So, Derek, when did you start investing in real estate?
2002.
2002,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And what'd you start with?
I bought a fix and flip.
Yep.
Actually, off the MLS, believe it or not.
Why'd you buy it? Why'd you want to fix and flip?
Because I need to make some money,
Yeah.
and I saw some guys that were selling ideas about how to go make money fixing and flipping houses, and it's like, let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
But then you got into creative.
Yes.
What was the first creative deal?
Probably let's see, probably 2003. Started knocking on doors, found a homeowner that was over leveraged in a short sale situation. This guy's name was Dustin. Actually, I don't know why I remember that. But anyway, he had a second and a third mortgage.
Yeah.
And I knocked on his door. I was like, hey, I want to buy your house. He's like, no, you don't, because I got all these liens. So I shorted the third note. I shorted the second note. And then I caught the first up and kept the first mortgage in place while I fixed and flipped the house. So anyway. Yeah.
How'd you get the bank to short it?
At that time I was just kind of scrambling through trying to figure out how to do a short sale, but made an offer. I think like a couple grand on like a $30,000, $40,000 note, something like that.
So you can just negotiate liens.
Just negotiate liens. Yeah. You can ask for anything,
This is, you guys have to understand. I think I met Derek in 2011. Formally when you had Green Street Real Estate, Green Street Realty. Yeah. And at the time you had done more short sales than anybody. You had a whole call center set up in a really nice building. You had a whole team that was doing an incredible amount of short sales. You were wholesaling, and this is like just coming out of the downturn. Yeah. You opened up a real estate brokerage to be able to do it. And then you really started doing a tremendous amount of fix and flips. And then you started developing. Yeah. Like really luxury properties. We're talking like $5 million properties, right?
Yeah. Some of
all of it.
Yeah.
He's done it all. I mean, he's literally done it all, guys. This is really, really exciting to have you on the show. And now you're doing Stay Frank. And I'm going to show this to everybody. So will you explain what's going on? And for some of the people that run across this, because it happens all the time, I think, guys, this is going to be a great resource for everybody watching. Go ahead and explain, what is Stay Frank?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the early 2000s when I was knocking on doors and doing direct mail just as a cash home buyer. I came across this homeowner, and he was like, "Oh, you guys trying to buy my house? No realtors, no commissions, all that stuff, but I don't want to move." But the guy was in foreclosure, and I don't remember exactly how long he had, but in Arizona, it was less than 90 days before the auction was going to happen. And he was like, "Hey, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll sell you my house if you let me rent it back." Right. And, it was new in my career, excited to do deals, put deals together, trying to be a deal maker, unfortunately. Right. But anyway, so I talked to a couple people, and they're like, well, I guess if you can buy the house cheap enough, if he doesn't pay you, then you already own the house. So then you can evict him. Right. And that was kind of the start of a sale leaseback career. But anyway, that's not how we do it today. But about 3 years ago or so, I stopped building houses. And I said, you know what, let me go try and spin up a cash home buying business again and see if I can offer sale leasebacks. Because there's all this equity that people have. There's always people that need money, right? Those homeowners are always going to need money. And all these big funds, hedge funds, were buying rental houses. Yep. So like, okay, great, perfect marriage. Like, go talk to homeowners that need money, have all these equity, that can't get it, they can't qualify for loans, they don't want to move. Find the capital partners in the big funds that have unlimited money. Put the two together, away we go. Yeah. So that was kind of the start of Stay Frank. Yeah.
So sale leasebacks, you're buying the property, or somebody's buying the property, or the hedge funds are buying the property, and then the owner gets to stay in the property. So these are decent, like these aren't totally tear down properties.
No.
These are good shape.
Yeah.
Right.
These are flip flop homes. Do you remember when we used to talk about that? Yeah. Good old Mike Moody, right?
Yeah,
We would talk
yeah.
about flip flop homes. Like, was it a flip flop home? Like, if the house was so messed up and so dirty, you wouldn't wear flip flops.
Yeah.
Then you knew it was going to be a good deal, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are flip flop homes. You would wear flip flops in these houses. They're clean enough. Yeah.
Not non flip flop homes.
Yeah. We just put a deal in escrow in Castle Rock, Colorado, with a buyer. I think it's like a $700,000 house, probably 20 years old. I mean, really nice house.
So when we run across properties where they're like, hey, I would sell my property, but I don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And maybe they've tried to pull out some money for whatever expenses from their equity,
mm-hmm.
right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those are like the primo ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of like our kind of ideal customer profile is someone who really values the benefit of living in their house. They got kids, they're in an area with neighbors they love. But they just they know they could sell their house and go get money on the market, off market, whatever it might be, but just like the pain of moving, right?
Yep.
And so they've had some life event happen, maybe a job loss, maybe some health stuff, maybe it is like a divorce, or maybe they're retired on a fixed income and ran up some debt. So those are kind of like the use cases of people looking for money.
Yep.
And they've been denied by a lender for a HELOC or a refinance, and they're like, okay, what's next? What do I do next?
Yep.
What I found is that we've had some success here recently with working with some other wholesalers, cash home buyers, where they make an offer and they just can't get to a price that works because the burden of moving, right, is just like, all right, if I take this price and I still have to move, but if I didn't have to move, maybe I would take that price because I can stay in the house and get the money I need.
How long do they usually lease back?
We say up to 3 years in our program. I would say on average we're about 2 years, about 24 months.
So if somebody's watching this and they are, they run into a situation where they could put together a deal, but the owner just doesn't want to move.
Yeah.
Would they go to Stay Frank?
Yeah, I mean, they can certainly do that and reach out to us and we can talk about a deal. I mean, we're starting to do some JV deals, like I said, with other investors that have a marketing engine, finding people who are looking for off-market offers. But it really, you're looking for someone who's living in the house, right? Yeah. So it's not your typical fixer or probate or, landlord, frustrated landlord. I mean, it's really like Joe and Cindy with a family, and they're living in their house being like, man, we're getting squeezed here. What do we do?
Yeah. So what? Ugly houses aren't good enough for you anymore?
Listen, I mean, the ugly house business is an amazing business, obviously, right? So it's just that this is just where we play,
Yeah.
And so
but why? So you went ugly house,
mm-hmm.
then you built a portfolio of rentals
mm-hmm.
with Creative Finance.
Mm-hmm.
Then you opened up a brokerage and did short sales.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got into renovations, and then you got into just complete ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're at sale leasebacks.
Yeah. I mean, if we have more time, we can talk about all my other issues if you want, I got a long list of them now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love doing creative, fun stuff. It's like,
so is it just not exciting to do cash offers?
Look, I mean, this is, I would not say necessarily try and follow that path that I've been on. Some of the wealthiest guys, people, women I know are like, look, your life should be exciting. Your business should be boring.
Yes. Say that again for everybody.
Yeah. Your life should be exciting. Your business should be boring.
Yeah.
I'm just not smart enough to figure that out yet. So I create my business to be very exciting.
Yeah.
My life, I think, is too. But anyway.
So is it the challenge of doing these deals as opposed to just, hey, here's a cash as is offer, and I'm going to sell this to somebody that I know wants to do a flip or something?
Look, I think in business, I mean, you have to have a unique selling proposition. Like, how am I different? And there's some people that do it faster. There's some people that do it better. And there's some people that do it different. And I was just, I guess, born that way. I'm the different guy. I like to do things different. So everyone, obviously it's a crowded space in being a cash home buyer. You can certainly make a ton of money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't talk our leads that we're talking to and our homeowners. They're not like, well, I got 10 other guys that are making me a sale leaseback offer. I'll get back to you.
Right.
Right.
Like me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, we're competing against, 2 or 3 offers every single time that are cash as is.
Yeah.
And we have to build the skills to be able to, one, recognize the potential, which we talked about a little bit earlier.
Nice.
And two, just have the communication skills and over communicate so that we get those deals. Right.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you're going after everybody else that's not, what we're typically targeting.
Mm-hmm.
You're going after the people that maybe they applied for a home equity line, they didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are looking to just sell because they're going to move in a couple years, but they don't want. They think the height. They want to lock in a price now, but move in a couple years because they think, oh, if Biden gets elected again, or if Trump gets elected, the economy is going to do this. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where you're just looking to fish in a pond where there's not as many people fishing.
Yeah, I would say that most of the people we're talking to, they have a financial need, not a want. So not so much the latter of like trying to be smart. It's just like, okay, I can do something now, or I can maybe hopefully do something later. But like I'm heading down this path. Like I don't know what the stat is, but once you miss one mortgage payment, like that recovery percentage is pretty low,
right.
and then 2 it gets worse and 3 it gets worse. Right.
Yep.
So look, in full transparency, I think getting deals, I never want to say easier. We might have an advantage of getting deals and less competition.
Right.
But I do want to be clear, like structuring these deals and dispelling these deals I think is a lot harder than just a vacant deal. I mean, vacant deal, everyone can kind of understand that, right?
Yeah.
I talk to some really sophisticated people, and when we go through the structure of what we do, they're like, wait, how does that work? And so it takes some time to do that.
Awesome. Guys, getfrank.com, stayfrank.com. If you have a homeowner that is looking to sell their property, but they want to stay in it, you want to partner with Derek and figure out nationwide.
We're about 8 states.
Okay.
8 states, yeah.
What states?
Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and Indiana.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome, guys. If you're in those states, which a lot of the audience are, Comping Properties is the name of the show.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
How important is supply and demand? How important is months of inventory?
How important to Comping Properties?
Yeah.
Or,
to know what to offer.
Well, I think obviously we have to watch as that increases, right? We got to expect that. You always have to look at what's next. Where are we heading, right? I mean, you don't drive looking in the rear view, you drive looking forward, like where are we going, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I think you have to look at the actives. You have to look at days on market and what's sitting there. You have to look at what's going to happen when you go to flip this house, or when your investor buying is going to flip the house. What's their competition? Yeah.
Pendings?
I think pendings are good as long as you look at what were the days on market. I don't know if every state has the contingent accepting backups or all those other things, but if you're just like active to true pending, was there a price drop, and then did it go pending right after that price drop? So some of those things, I guess maybe that's more details, but
when you were looking for flips, when you were buying wholesales, I sold you wholesale deals. You were looking at, okay, this is what I can offer based on, what's going on in those areas.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to look at that for sure.
Yeah. And so from the mind of a cash buyer, what scares cash buyers?
I mean,
and what excites cash buyers?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a big kind of misnomer, if you will, about like cheap is better, and cheap is cheap usually for a reason.
Yep.
So I think people chase cheap, and whether it's a specific location in a subdivision or something around it, or some sort of functional obsolescence, in the house. Like we get stuck in a spreadsheet, but real estate isn't done in a spreadsheet. It's done with humans and walking through an emotion at the retail level, right? Of what we're dealing with. So I think from cash buyer standpoint is, how different is this house? If you're dealing with like very like homogeneous neighborhood, like how different is this one compared to what's been selling, right? I don't want to be the smallest. I don't want to be the biggest. I'm trying to be boring in that instance, I guess.
Right.
So different properties from that standpoint, but from a market, certainly seeing days on market increasing.
Guys, we're hearing days on market.
Yeah.
So when you're running your comps, you got to look at, okay, when this property the top comp, right? The one that's the most beautiful that sold for the top of the market in that neighborhood or in that area. How long did it take to sell? That's what you're saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why is the length? Why does days on market important?
Well, I mean, you got holding costs and also now it's like we just left like this like 100-mile-an-hour like market where everyone's like, oh, I can't believe your house didn't sell today.
Yeah.
Well, I just put on today. Well, yeah, but like coming soon they're not selling anymore coming soon, right? I just saw a listing go active and it was like coming soon for a month. I'm like, oh, well, what happened? What happened to that? So look, I think we're in a market where buyers have to be patient. It's expensive as hell to buy a house. And the days on market from a psychology, from a buyer standpoint is I'm going to dig in a little bit of my offer because I know you've been sitting a little bit.
Right.
And it's uncomfortable as a seller because you're used to going 100 and now maybe you're going 30 or 40. You're still moving, right? In a sense, but you're used to that 100 miles an hour, right? So there's an opportunity, I think, to offer less.
So guys, when you're running your comps, look at how long it took, and it's really easy because it shows you on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're just doing this without an MLS, it shows you, how many days on Zillow it was on,
right?
And so that's really, really, really helpful. And you can actually filter on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com the amount of days on market, which is really helpful as well. And you could probably just Google it.
Yeah.
What's the average days on market for a home in this city, this zip code, that type of thing. You get it.
Right.
I'm wearing my Panerai.
Yeah, I know. You got a newer version.
I upgrade. I remember you had it years ago.
I know. It's vintage now. It's antique. I feel like
I wore it just for you.
Yeah, I love that one. It's beautiful.
There you go.
Good looking.
There you go. Let me ask you this. What do you think could crash this market? Because I'm asking this selfishly, right?
Could or will?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm looking at doing more flips,
which
means more risk, which means more time and money out there. My own money, private money, hard money, the whole thing, right? What should I be watching to make sure that I can adjust to more of wholesaling deals than flipping deals? What should I be looking for?
It seems like there's lots of that question, but if I heard you correctly, so
you're a smart guy. I know you got it.
Oh, thank you. So if you're talking to in a fix and flip strategy, right?
Yes.
Right. Not as a wholesaling strategy. And well, on the fix and flip strategy, look, there is, in my opinion, there's limited inventory, right? So it's like if some black swan event happened or the stock market crashed or whatever would happen and people had to sell, those are still lived in homes, right? I mean, they are going to have some deferred maintenance. So a remodeled house should, in theory, always still fetch a premium from a supply and demand issue, I would think, right? However, I think it's the time to be very conservative in our pricing models, right? Because at the end of the day, people can only buy what they can afford, right? So they might want this, right? But they can only really afford this. So that's what they're going to end up buying.
Yep.
And look, I think if you think about it like a real estate cycle, like we're at the stage now where being in the fee business is a really good idea.
Explain the fee business.
Yeah. I mean, wholesaling, I mean, brokering or whatever, if you're in the real estate or a lender, but wholesaling, right? I mean, because look, I mean, wholesaling is like the best business I think probably in the world anyway, but
thank you. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. But we ran the numbers and we looked at what the cash buyers that sold the deals that we sold to them last year. And I'm not talking major remodel. I'm talking 50K and under. I'm talking cosmetic, you know what I mean? Like that type of flips. The rest of them we're going to wholesale. But it was like an extra 700,000 that we could have added to the bottom line if we would have done that. Obviously, it's a longer sales cycle there to get the money back or cash cycle there to get the money back. But it would have 700,000 with the same staff. Is nice. It's like, how do you squeeze the most out of every deal that you have or every opportunity that you have when you find something that's not, a specialty remodel? You know what I mean?
Well, listen, I mean, there's I love all these questions. Like there's so many layers to this stuff. Maybe it's just 20 years of experience and lessons and whatever, but I think first of all, you have to ask yourself, like, what is my intention? Like, what am I trying to do? Am I building a business to create cash flow to then go invest in other things? And is that business going to be remodeling, or is that business going to be the fee business of wholesale?
They're different businesses.
Very different businesses.
Right.
And, I was a pretty good fix and flipper. And then I went to go build houses, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work as well. And because things change, and so it's just like, it looks easy on paper, but it's a whole different business. So if you think about, what's important to me in my lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to make my money? And chasing the bigger money, it comes with more risk, right? It takes more time. And I just think right now you want to de-risk as much as possible, because I don't think there's going to be there's not going to be less opportunities to buy. I think there's going to be more opportunities to buy. So anyway.
Why do you think that?
A couple of reasons. Why is because, first of all, there's elasticity, right? So when it stretches one way for so long, it tends to come back. And I'm not saying home values are dropping 50% or anything like that. Don't want that. We don't need that. We need something, but
I was showing this earlier, which I thought was really interesting. The homes built by
everyone loves that thing,
right?
Yeah. See, homes are going to be 100% more next year because of that right there. No, that is an issue, right? But look, again, right? If I can want whatever I want, but if I can't afford to pay for it, who cares, right? You know? So you can't argue basic fundamentals, economics of supply and demand. You can't argue it. But I don't know what's going to happen with the baby boomers as they retire with that housing supply. I can tell you this: the biggest funds in America right now that own 100,000, 50,000, 20,000 homes, they are slowly bringing homes into the market to retail.
They're selling them?
Absolutely, they are. It's become a big business in the SFR community. Now, instead of being an acquisition agent, you're trying to be a disposition agent for these funds. So instead of trying to bring them the deals, you're trying to list their houses to sell them, and not like 10,000 a month. They're doing it strategically, right?
Well, they're not going to flood the market and
So look,
lose money on their own inventory, right?
The cost of does anyone think the cost of anything is less than it was?
No.
It's ridiculous what's happening. So how long can people hold on, live off credit card debt above their means until they're like, look, I don't care. I have a 3% mortgage. I got $38,000 of credit card debt, and I just missed my first house payment. Well, I'm selling. I got to do something, right? And I think that's happening more and more. If you know this, how to find this stat, everyone says, notice of defaults. Well, there's not a lot of notice of defaults because all the servicers are scared to foreclose on people. Of course. I can tell you our funnel is full of homeowners who are not in foreclosure, who are 2, 3, 4 months behind, 5 months behind, 6 months behind. Mm-hmm. And we talk to these people. We're like, hey, are you concerned at all? Your letter might, no, they never foreclose on me. Like 20 years ago, whatever, even 10 years ago, look, you're 2 or 3 months behind, you're going to foreclosure. Let's go. Yep. So at some point, that has to start to break free, I think.
You don't think the banks can really just put it on the back end of the loan, do the loan mods, get the payments down for the next couple of years so that they don't, because that's what's happening.
That's what's been happening.
Right.
And actually pre-COVID that was happening.
Yeah.
We got a deal right now that's out in Waddell, and they did a loan mod in 18, 21 and 20 in last year in 23.
Yeah.
So how long can you keep kicking the can down the road before at some point,
so what do you think? You think that, just wholesale everything for the next couple of years, for the next few years?
Again, it goes back to your strategy, right? But
no. What do you think?
Oh, well, look, I am personally buying single family rental houses.
Yeah.
I'm buying them subject to, because all the advantages of subject to.
Yep.
And we're never gonna get that debt ever again. Yep. It's irreplaceable. You can't find it. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go buy houses sub to at 2, 3, 4% mortgages. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing that. And candidly, this house in Waddell is like a $400,000 house. If it goes down to $350,000, I kind of don't really care because the mortgage is 2.5%, and I'll just keep renting it, paying down that mortgage.
But if you were starting today and you don't have millions of dollars and you need to actually make earned income, okay, what would you do?
Well, for the record, I used to have a lot more than I do, so I am pretty motivated, and I feel like I'm starting over again.
Good.
It's all relative.
That's it. Yeah.
Anyway, so all right. So what would I do? Yeah, look, wholesaling, you got to generate income.
Yeah,
you got to have income coming in. If you're into marketing or partners with the marketing, you understand sales. you can make a lot of money wholesaling.
Would you
right?
wholesale or would you get a real estate license and be an agent?
Well, wholesaling, but that's just who I am, right? I mean, I've had a real estate license, and look,
you've had a real estate brokerage.
One of my good dear friends, Ryan, who we both know well. He called me last Friday, and I was like, "Hey, bud, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I just put 2 deals in escrow. I'm thinking about having some people over to my house around noon, for whatever Friday he called it."
Yeah.
And like, man, I need to become a realtor, dude. Like, this is awesome. What am I doing? And I was like, oh, I'm kind of an asshole for saying that. But anyway, but yeah, look, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a realtor. I mean, you can make a ton of money doing that, I guess.
Sure.
But if you want to do that.
Right. But wholesale. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And you would just wholesale. You wouldn't go. Would you go into flips once you have, let's say you have 100 wholesale deals under your belt?
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do.
Right.
I mean, look, I built 90 some homes.
Yeah.
And people love building homes and I think they want to go do it. I mean, if you want to talk, I'll tell you why you shouldn't, but
Right.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
So look, I'm not giving very direct answers, but there's nothing wrong with fix and flipping, but it's a different beast. It's a beast. And stuff goes wrong and stuff takes longer. Construction is, I mean, it's so dynamic, right? You're dealing with human beings. Hopefully they show up. Hopefully they have the right stuff. Hopefully they put it together right. And hopefully it doesn't break,
right.
Like it's crazy.
Well, I'm just in this interesting part in my business where Jeremy has been with me 5 years. Ryan's been with me 4 years. Ryan's been 5 years. Chad's been with 4 years. They all are, I think, kind of bored. You know what I mean?
Good. Go jump out of a plane.
Right. Well, you're right. Go snorkeling. Go scuba diving.
That's right.
That type of thing.
Oh,
but I mean,
no,
I think that they see that there's creativity behind flips. They see that there's, different exciting ways. I think it's a value thing. I really do. I think that they see, okay, yes, we can find these houses and we can turn it over, but is that valuable in my life? Like, does that give me fulfillment in this role that we just do this day in, day out, year after year after year, as opposed to the pride that you get driving by one of the 90 properties that you built and you go, I built that. You know what I mean? I think there's something to it psychologically. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I know that you probably don't have that anymore because we've been doing this a long time. Because I used to drive by the flips that we've done. I mean, I've done 100 flips and I would be like, oh, I did such a great job in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I just don't, it doesn't, I got that out of my system. So I don't know if I need my staff to get that out of their system. Or maybe it's just a new business that ends up being awesome and we really enjoy it and we become an industry leader in it. I mean, you know what I mean?
What I would say is this. Look, I mean, full transparency, full shed my ego. Like I think I'm good at some stuff. Like, and you think we've had some success and your guys have had success. So it's like, okay, well, I've been successful here, so I could probably do it over here. Right. And you probably can. Yeah. But there's going to be a learning curve inevitably, right? Oh, yeah. And I kind of discounted that learning curve because I'm like, I'm good, I'll figure it out. Like, I'm Derek, whatever, and okay, sure, that's nice, but you're gonna learn some things, along the way. Yeah. So I think if you're just because you're good at marketing and sales doesn't mean you're gonna be good at construction. Yep. Just because you can comp a property and you can see the designs doesn't mean you're gonna be good at construction. And so in fix and flipping, you got to have the acquisition so to know how to find deals. So great, wholesaler can find deals. Well, now you got to know the design elements and how to value engineer things. You don't overrun your budget like everyone does, right? And then you got to have the capacity to manage that construction, and you got to have the ability to go raise the capital, manage the capital to fund it. Yep. Like those are like 4 different businesses, right? So, look, people much smarter than me have made a lot more than me, and some have made less than me in fixed flipping building houses, right? Yep. So you can certainly do it. It's just the time in the market right now is,
and lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to it.
I think if I was going to do them right now, I would be doing like refresh, right? Yeah. Refresh deals, like light remodel.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, all right. Well, Derek, thanks for being on here. Stay frank, guys. Definitely check that out. We're going to put Derek to the test now and see how he does throwing darts at our balloons for our giveaway. Oh, all right.
Wow.
You ready?
Okay.
All right. So let's get this going. And let Rafael give him some some balloons here. We already gave away this one, but if he makes the bottom row, we'll give away another one. The top row is going to be the TTP shirt. Boom, classic TTP shirt. And the middle row will be the Rhino hoodie. So thank you for participating. We love you so much. Just absolutely incredible that you were able to come on here and spend some time with everybody. You have dramatically improved my skills and ability in this business. So I love you. You're the best. Likewise. Go ahead. Let's see what you got, bro. Yeah. Oh! Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get this guy out of here. No way. You're done. Yeah, get out of here. That's done. Okay. That's bananas. That is crazy. Great to see you, Derek. Yeah. There you go. Stay frank, guys, for the purchase leasebacks. It's a really, really, really strong strategy. And so if you run across those homeowners that want to sell but they don't want to move, reach out to Derek. I'm telling you guys, Derek has given me some of the biggest lessons in life. And here in Phoenix, if you've been in real estate for a while, you definitely know Derek Jarr. He's the best of the best at raising funds. He's the best of the best at understanding strategies, the best of the best at being able to peer around corners. He's who I go to when interest rates started rising. He's the one that I go to when I'm thinking about, I literally just this conversation that I had doing flips was literally like I was selfishly just asking him because I get so much out of him, and he's done everything. He's done every creative deal you could possibly imagine forever. I mean, he was doing sub twos in 2003. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Welcome, Raph.
What's up?
How are you?
What's up, fam? Good to see you all.
Awesome.
Always love being here.
We're talking about comping though.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Let me throw something out there that I caught from from what he was talking about. Like it's different businesses, it's different niches. I did last year. I did a lot of sub 2 with leasebacks.
Yep,
dude, that's a totally different beast. It's you have to understand what you're doing. It's not one of those things. That's definitely one of those advanced strategies that you want to have all your ducks in order.
Yep.
So when you're able to do it, for a long period of time and stay on the the right side of that without having compliance issues and stuff like that, you're doing something right. So it goes to speak.
So you would take over the loan and lease it back to the property owner.
Yeah.
How would the property owner be able to afford it if they can't afford their rent?
No. So we would do rent credits for
based
example.
On their equity.
Yeah. Based on the equity.
Can you break that down on the board?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Can we get this cleared off? We're going to chat for a little bit, but if you could clear, or maybe just flip it over. Is the back clean? Or I was writing on it because I want you to break that down because I think that's really important.
It's a phenomenal strategy. It's just, when you get into there's a couple of things and mainly it's just psychological things that happen with the sellers as they're doing this type of process.
Yep.
For example, one of them being that they're not moving out of that house that they've been in for the last 20 years.
Right.
But now they're tenants as opposed to owners.
Right.
So they still feel they own the property, and after they get relieved from the pain and the behind the payments and all that stuff, we did have issues where people were coming back at us as like, no, you know what, I don't want to sell.
Right.
Like you sold.
It's already sold.
Yeah, it's already sold.
So the clarification of the process is really important.
Yeah, and we tried a ton of stuff. I mean, with same page calls, we would sit down and have full blown conversations. We would record the conversations and just make it super transparent. And and still, we had a couple incidents where people came back, doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On affordability of the rents. We would create. Now we have two. Weeks. We would do credits.
Oh.
Yeah, so we would do credits, for example, and then give them a monthly credit of $500, and then drop the monthly rent for that amount.
Yeah.
So we'd hook them up on that side because they had equity on the property, and so they get cash, rent credits, and we try to set them up for a period of at least a year.
Yep.
And work leasebacks like that. I mean, but then again, what we started seeing was just a lot of pushback on when it came to month 7, right? Or they would stop making the monthly payments.
Well, yeah.
During the even if the rents were cheaper, during that period of time, now you have a very sensitive, issue where it's like, man, you're buying a property in foreclosure. Is it predatory? Is it, that type of stuff. And some of them were not in pre-foreclosure, but we were just, straight up.
Well, the interesting thing Derek was saying is we're never going to see 2-3% interest rates in our lifetime.
Man, I mean, that's
kind of sad.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild to me, dude. I mean,
and he knows, man. I'll tell you what, this guy.
If that's the case, we had a good run.
I mean, he is like.
Yeah, he's tapped in.
He is real connected, hand in glove with the hedge funds, and has been for years. He's real sneaky with it, I think. Not like real sneaky, but he's like you would never know.
Silent,
you know what I mean?
Space,
right. Yeah. And that's why he started the Stay Frank, is because the hedge funds were looking for this opportunity to buy some of these properties, and he was matching up opportunities that he saw there. Right. So really, really, really interesting for if you're thinking about building your portfolio. Now, one thing that I didn't get to, but something that he taught me, same with Michael Jake, who's an incredible investor out of Colorado, is own properties in good school districts.
Oh, yeah.
That's where he's looking. They own the properties in good school districts. Statistically, the turnover is like 7 years as opposed to 2 or 3. The amount of repairs necessary after they move out is much, much, much less. They have a higher pride of ownership, and usually they're just they're going to be on time. The reason that they're in renting instead of buying is whatever reasons. I mean, maybe they their credit fell apart at some point, but they've got good income typically. Yeah,
it's just a different type of avatar when it comes to the client base.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting.
Yep. Guys, like and subscribe. If you are not already subscribed, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And if you're getting some value out of this in our first hour and a half, make sure that you put your thumbs up. So, Raf, get to the board and explain a sub-2 with a lease back to the property owner, how that works. Because I think we run across these all the time. And by the way, guys, if you noticed in that deal machine, in Deal Machine, it has, here. In Deal Machine, it has all sorts of expired listings with all of the contact. And if you talk to Pace Morby, expired listings are like the best of the best when it comes to getting some of these sub-2 opportunities, because there's people that were trying to sell their property. They just don't have a tremendous amount of equity. And so if you heard somebody like Derek saying, hey, I'm looking to build a big portfolio of these properties that are sub-2 and these lower interest rates, that means there's thousands of them. There's so many people that are that understand that opportunity, and so you can go after them and wholesale those deals to really accredited investors, not accredited as in accredited, but it should be really the people that are experienced in owning a portfolio, so that that property owner is going to be taken care of long term if you're taking over their loan. So you can zoom in on Raf.
I'm prepping my impromptu presentation here.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm not gonna get too deep into the sub-2 strategies or anything like that, but basically we do either a wrap of the existing mortgage if it's an exact wrap. We do a sub-2 where we're the seller.
What is a wrap?
A wrap is where you come in and you take over the existing mortgage. For example, if you're buying a house, the house is worth $250,000. They owe $150,000. You come in and then you pay $150,000. So you cover. You create an instrument around that loan, and then you become responsible for the payment.
Can I see it visually?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So a wrap. What do you want, a contract?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So you have a mortgage note, right? So you have a mortgage note here for $150,000.
Yep.
You buy for $150,000, and then basically what you do is you wrap around the mortgage another instrument. The title does this. I mean, they have their documentation and everything.
Yeah.
But basically, that forces you to become responsible for the payments of the note, right?
Yep.
So on the scenario like this, the seller is usually not getting anything out of it. Maybe they have little equity. It's just, it works because of the interest rates or something like that. So the second one is a sub 2, where the seller owns the property. So you actually have the asset that's owned by the seller, and then you come in, and then the seller gives you a note, right? So they give you a note for the property, and you come in, and then you assume the purchase of that property through the note. So the seller actually becomes the bank. How do you like my bank?
Love it.
That's my bank. It has a lot of dollar signs.
Strong bank.
You see?
Yep.
Yeah. So the seller, finances the note for you, gives you that loan. The third one is a combination of the two, and I think it's the one that we do the most, right? Because most people have a mortgage on the property, so they have, let's say the house is worth $300,000. They have a note, so a mortgage note for $150,000, right? But you're buying that property for $200,000.
Yep.
So the difference is going to be $50,000, right? So the seller is going to do a seller financing or a sub 2 for $50,000 here. So it's a combination of the two.
Love it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you have a mortgage of $150,000 that you're wrapping around, and then you have the sub 2, the seller carry of $50,000. So now you have this, and it becomes technically two different instruments, because you have the mortgage and then you have the sub 2. But it's combined into one payment at the end of the month. The payment has to make sense for that cash flow to happen, right? So let's say that the payment is $1,000.
Yep.
That property can technically rent for $1,400. So you have some fees and stuff like that, but you would have $400 cash flow, right? So that's in a nutshell, right? 30,000-foot view. That's how that would work.
Yep.
So we're acquiring properties through creative financing like this, right? Now, one of the biggest problems is that people don't want to move from the property. They've been in that property for 20 years. They're behind payments, so the credit is shot. They can't really apply somewhere else. Rents are through the roof. I mean, you name it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rebuttals that come across, or that we come across when we're trying to structure a deal like this. Now, when we, one of the things that we sat there and thought about is like, well, what if we can keep the sellers in there? You can't tell the seller that you're going to sell the property back to them.
Right.
All right. So it's breaking the law. So you just can't do it. But they can lease it back. They can do a lease back, and you have everything in writing. So you create a lease agreement. You clarify that you're not going to sell them the property. Like there's a lot of there was a lot of malpractice going on where in cases out there, people were saying, hey, listen, we'll buy the property from you, and then you can buy it back from us in 6 months, or stuff like that. That's a big no-no. Like, don't do that stuff. So anyways, we
I've heard a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's a big no-no.
Okay.
So you get in big trouble for that kind of stuff. So we stayed clear off of that stuff. We did create a lease, and we're doing leases for 1 year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lease back for the seller, and what we're thinking here, we are buying the property. We have equity in the property, we have the payments of whatever the structure we use. The payments are going to make sense once the seller gets out. So we're not looking to monetize with the seller. We're buying into the equity of that deal. We're kind of cash flowing the property. I mean, maybe not even cash flowing the property, at this point, but maybe breaking even. Right. So, for example, in a case like this, if the rents are $1,400, or the mortgage would be $1,000. Instead of renting the property back to the seller for a year for $1,400, we'd give them a credit and keep the mortgage payment amount to the monthly, right, for the time being.
So you're getting no rent in for cash.
Right.
You're trading some of their equity for them not paying.
Right.
And you just have to be in a really strong cash position to be able to do this.
Yeah, exactly. So
you got to be able to make the mortgage payment and
another thing that factors in here, a lot of times they had arrears, right? So you'd be talking, $30,000 worth of arrears. So you have to catch up the loan, right, in order to take over the loan if it's a wrap, and leave them in there. So the deals would cost us $30,000-$40,000, but we're front loading that that gain per se, right? So we were doing this kind of stuff. This is how we kind of stayed clear of that. Well, the rents are this much. How do we, they're going to default on them. So if you think about it and you sit there logically, right, people are going to be, okay, cool. Like they're working with me, I'll work with them. But one thing that we started seeing quite a bit was the psychology behind the seller being, this is still my house. They're no longer, burning. They're no longer in the fire because we caught up the arrears, but it's no longer their property. We have the property. It's, we've taken over the property. However, in their heads, they're not ready to move out when the year comes across. They're pushing against, rents. And there's a lot of issues that happen. So you have to be, well situated if you're going to do a lease back, because, you're going to have a certain percentage of deals that come back. And they'll give you pushback on that kind of stuff not necessarily when you close a deal because they're happy and grateful, but 6 months into it, after they get like that remorse of selling or having to move, and the reality kind of sets in. Does that make sense?
Yep. So awesome. There you go, guys. Any questions of that? Let me know. Rich has been blowing us up with some interesting questions. Rich, if you do a sub 2, you are giving bad advice when you say to pick up a property without giving the seller any money. The seller takes you to court. The judge will ask the seller only 2 questions. Rich, I don't know what those 2 questions are, but if you can put them in there, and if you are a judge, let us know. That would be really helpful. Or if you're an attorney or something like that, I'd love to know if you are. I haven't gone through that scenario. I don't do a lot of sub 2s. And remember that there's a difference between owning and controlling a property. There's a difference between being on title and being on the deed of a property. Sub 2, you're getting on to the deed of the property where you actually own the property, but there's certainly a lot of other instruments that you can use to control the property and have the rights to the property that doesn't violate any of the agreements that the homeowner has signed with their mortgage. So, here you go. The 2 questions a judge will ask is, was the seller given any money, and was an attorney at closing to explain what is going on to the seller? If yes to both, the investor wins. If no to either, I assume that they would lose. That's a great point. I mean, listen, the more that you can have an attorney involved in explaining what's going on, the better. I agree with you there, Rich, but I don't, is this coming from an experience that you had? I'd love for you to share.
I do have input on that. I mean, so he's somewhat right. Again, the judge is going to rule in whatever direction they choose, right? But we did. I mean, for example, when we were closing this sub 2 deals, the seller would get money, so at closing as well. So we'd catch up the arrears. The seller would get an agreed amount, and then remember that same page conversation I was talking about. Yeah. So we actually would sit down and then run it through the entire process through. There wasn't an attorney in the room, but it was attorney drafted documentation that would read out loud on video and that kind of stuff. So it's somewhat along those lines. Even then, like, we still had some pushbacks. You talked about lifestyle earlier, man. I think what down on me is like, man, these deals, they're solid deals. But it's a lot more headache than the stuff that I want to subscribe to. Yeah. So we still do them if we have to. The deal is super juicy, but and now it's just another tool in the belt as opposed to like the tool.
Yeah, I think that there's some service. I think that there's some value, Rich, that if somebody is going through a tough time, they can't afford the property, they don't want to go through a foreclosure, but you make an arrangement to where you catch them up. First of all, you're going to have to catch them up. So that's the money that you give to the property owners. Typically the sub 2s are either people that bought in the last couple of years and can't and need to move and they can't sell their property, or they're behind. Typically, I've never done a sub 2 that wasn't behind on a mortgage that had to be caught up. So I think that there's something going on there as well. But if there's any cases that you can point us to and put in the chat, that would be awesome. I would love to be able to reference that and see cases that actually went through where the judges asked that and ruled unfavorably for the investor. But I'm sure maybe it's happened, but let's put some facts to it. Would be really helpful. That way we can be cleaner in the way that we can explain what to do when it comes to helping people that are looking for you to take over their loan. It's really, really, really interesting. The other question that Rich asked that I thought was really good is that don't the banks understand that interest rates are higher, why wouldn't they go and put it through some AI algorithm computer that says, oh, here's all the interest rates that are low. Let's try to, reach out to these property owners or do a public search to see if they've put it into, some other trust or put it into some other or sold it to somebody sub 2. I think that if the banks are servicing their loans, sure. But remember, they sell these loans almost instantly. That's what keeps the cash flow of a bank going. So if you can imagine a bank has a certain amount of, let's say they have $100 million and they lend $100 million and they're getting that interest, they don't have any more money to lend. But if they lend $100 million, they sell that loan to somebody else, they get a profit for that, and they get their $100 million back. They can go lend that money for more mortgages, sell those notes to the open market, get the money back, recycle. That's how the banks continuously make money. And the beautiful thing about being a bank is typically they have only 10%. They get 90% coming in from what is it? Not the treasury, maybe the treasury, the main bank. What's the main bank?
The main Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
And so you only need to have 10%. So you raise 10%, you get 90% to lend out. You lend out that money, you put it out there, you then sell that, you get the money back for it, and you get a fee. It's
good business.
That's why banks are where
we
they're
get
at,
everybody together in the tribe and set up a bank.
Yeah. I mean, you can certainly use a land contract or something like that. I mean, it depends. You're seeing a lot more adjustments, Rich, and I will give you full credit for that. You see a lot of adjustments for people doing less sub 2s and more, land contracts or some of the other instruments that people are using that don't go on the deed but on title. Right. Which is interesting. That was a very confusing thing for me to really wrap my head around, was the difference between title and the deed. You know what I mean? Title gives you the use of the property, but the deed shows you who's the actual owner.
Right. The ownership.
Which is really, really, really interesting and has been around forever. I remember in the early 2000s learning, they're like, don't own anything but control everything. And I was like, what does that mean?
Be on title, not on the deed.
That's it. That's exactly what it means. Be on title and not the deed. Yeah.
I want to bring it back a couple of steps. I mean, we talk about simplicity and how this business can be one of those businesses where we can, thrive and do a lot of stuff without breaking our heads. Yeah. We actually pivoted. So I still use, again, that's a really cool tool. It's a very good tool on certain deals. But pivoted from that being a primary to actually buying the properties. Yeah. Buying the properties, and then not necessarily with my own cash at the beginning, but getting funds together and whatnot, take it down and then wholesale it, or do whatever I need to do with it. It just wipes out all the drama, all the issues, all the Well,
Derek put it perfectly, and this is what's really important and something that drives me crazy. It is very easy to sell people on own free houses. It's like since the beginning of time, beginning of real estate coaching, nothing down. Robert Allen. I mean, this is 90s, but even before that, the Carlton Sheets, and before that, any other of these, investor coaches type thing was all about build a portfolio with none of your own money. It's the seductive wealth building mechanism that pulls in big audiences. It just is. Yeah. You see the biggest coaches, that's what they go to. I've stayed away from that because I don't do that. I like my lifestyle being in and out with cash. Yeah. I don't want to be married to these property owners for the next 10, 20 years that I take over their loan, or I do a seller finance with somebody, unless they're really, really, really experienced. I just don't care. Yeah. But I'm also the guy, I want to make a bunch of money from this cash machine that we call wholesaling property, and I want to buy homes cash. Yeah. That goes against all of that. And I'm looked at as the dunce in all of these investor groups.
Yeah.
I truly am.
Not by me.
But
Not by
but in
me.
my lifestyle, in my lifestyle, I don't want to be thinking about all of these issues going on. I don't want to. Attention management matters, especially when the
does.
kids are little. Especially when you only have, and I think about this all the time. There's like a certain point where your kids go off and they have friends and they just get their own lives and they move and all that stuff. Well, they're little, I want to squeeze out as much of that as possible, just to make sure that I don't raise a bunch of knuckleheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know. And Tom Kroll tells me all the time. Tom Kroll will be on again next week. He's been on vacation the last couple of weeks, but he had a great post, and he was like, "Your life is not your business. If your life is your business, you're going to constantly be disappointed. You're going to constantly be emotional about it. You're going to constantly the ebbs and flows of the stress and anxiety of being an entrepreneur are going to take you places you don't want to go."
Yeah.
And that takes a lot to understand that. There's a hustle season. Let's get that. Let's get that fact. And I think it's a minimum 7 years where you're really, 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 really going. But you should be able to build a system in place to hire really great people to live the lifestyle that you want. And in my opinion, that is getting great amounts of income, paying taxes, buying assets, and rinse and repeat. So I'm curious in the audience what you guys think. Because life, it's a hustle season, not a hustle life style. A hustle lifestyle. I see a lot of the people that we know as a hustle lifestyle came from nothing. Right. And it's really, and the fear of going back to that is so strong, and so much pressure is put on them to keep advancing and keep growing and really go into that legacy thing because they didn't have a legacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or thought we imagine we didn't have a legacy or whatever else. But the fact is, another Tom Krollism, if you're giving your 35, 40-year-old children all these assets when you pass away and this legacy of all this stuff, and they don't have financial intelligence themselves, they haven't gone out and earned it themselves, you have some serious problems, because you've got one generation to where you're back in the dirt.
Yeah, you're back in square one. I agree, man. I think it's one of those things that we have to think about. I mean, he was talking about depending on your strategy too. Like, it's very important. Like the headaches that you want to pick, right? That's kind of what steers me into it. And building from that. I mean, there's really cool strategies like sub 2 and wraps and all of that. But I feel like we can get caught on that wheel of hustle more than needed. I got burned out when I was 26, 27. I've told you that story before.
Yep.
And that's because I was still hustling and grinding more than I could, really, physically and mentally, for way longer than I should have. I was in that train of
for everything.
Work,
it's like accomplishment was my confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what pushes. And an interesting, Ryan Dice, I read this interesting, I saw an interesting presentation that he had, and he sold these, $50 million businesses plus. He sold a few of them. And he said, high performers will do nothing unless they have to. And when they have to, they'll do anything. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. That's wild.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really, really, really interesting. Okay, Jacob, let's answer some tactical questions. And in 4 minutes, we're going to have the incredible Billy Bell, handsome devil. He was my original disposition manager. We're talking about Kamp on the show. How big of a list do I need on average for a whole month? I'm calling 8 hours a day. Typically, the numbers that you're working off of are you're going to be able to call 50 addresses an hour. And you want to go through that list 2 to 3 times. I suggest 2. So do the math, right? If you can go through 50 addresses in 20 hours, that's 1,000 addresses. Then you're going 40, so that's 2,000 and you go through it. That's in a week. You can go through 2,000 addresses. You're going to go through that twice. That gives you enough for 2 weeks. So you're going to need 4,000 addresses. All right. I think the math is right there. James Anderson, how do you handle non-disclosure states? A deal's a deal. I mean,
I think it's probably asking about where to get the info. Clarify on that, maybe.
Oh,
Disclosure is just tougher to get, data for comping and that kind of
find
stuff.
somebody that has an MLS.
Yeah.
And by the way, non-disclosure states in Zillow, it still shows you what it was listed for, not what it sold for. So you could do some pretty. I was thinking judicial disclosure.
Reasoning.
I get what you're saying. It's like Texas. Yeah, you just get access to the MLS, and then also you can. I mean, just really good tools. Flip Finder helps you out a ton.
Privy is good in some disclosure
Privy,
states. Yep. We use Privy in a few select markets where they're really solid.
Yep.
So,
great question, Jacob. So I use Brent's 50-35-10 rule just to qualify the lead. And when I know it's a warm lead, I should comp better to get a more precise price. 100%. Yeah, you want to do the work. I mean, this is just to kind of filter out to see the range that people are expecting. Use the 50-35, and what he's referencing is this right here. Let me remove that. Boom. Is this, if it's above 250,000, offer 50%. If it's 250 to 135, it's 100 or less, 10. Boom. So there you go. Question: at what step of the process do you comp before calling the seller? Oh yes, I love this question. Before calling the seller while speaking to them, or after? During, quickly on Zillow, and then after. Don't comp properties because you think that they're motivated. Don't hallucinate. Talk to them and find out if they are actually motivated. See if they actually want to sell their property. If they do, that's when you go into the research. Matt, is there a way? Can you pull up the 17 steps of a wholesale deal? Can you find that? And I'll show that all.
A note on that. I feel like a lot of times they get afraid of losing the seller because they're on the phone. And move on to the comping and the numbers, faster than we should. If they're not going to give you that time, you haven't built enough rapport. So you still need to dig into that conversation, build that connection a little bit more. The trust factor, right?
Yeah.
So think about it that way.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right here. Completely off topic. But my 9-year-old daughter literally just asked, "Why does he have a Stanley?" I asked earlier if this is unmanly. It's a what? It's a white girl thing, apparently. I don't know.
My wife has one.
I love it. It holds a lot of water. Yeah, there you go. It's a that was Alejandra screaming at me, by the way. Not Matt from the background. I don't think Matt cares either way.
Matt with
yeah. But I enjoy it. It's easy. I like cold beverages. I don't know what to tell you. It's not that, but I was told, actually, I think Billy Bell is going to hit me up for this. He's like, no man should drink out of a straw. He's a very manly man. His dad owns a steel company. So, he's doing his thing. He'll jump on here in just a bit, but, yeah, what? No, we got that and we got that. Good. Guys, really great participation in here. Really great. Thank you guys for being so amazing. We want to give you all the resources possible so that you can cut through all the chatter. But I think it's really important. I think you have to decide in your life. I think there's an exercise, Raf, that I come back to mentally that I did it years ago. And it was like, all right, close your eyes and imagine from the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the time you go to sleep, the perfect day, right? The perfect day. Yeah. What does that day look like? Right. And I think that that's a really important thing, because if you look at that and you go, okay, what is important? And I remember thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to, have a protein shake. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into the office. I'm going to mess around a little bit. I'm going to do something that provides some value. For some reason, I was always waking up by a beach, though, which is interesting.
Not the forest.
But anyway, not the forest. But maybe as I mature, it'll be a forest. I don't know. But there's just something magical about sea breeze. You know what I mean? I'm going to Hawaii next Friday. So
Nice.
maybe that's what it is. Anyway, and so yeah, I got it. Thanks, Matt. He's got the 17 steps here. And but literally have that exercise of what is the perfect day, and then I work out, then I have a nice lunch, and then I don't know what I do in the afternoon. Nonsense, run around, talk to people, call friends and family or loved ones or deals or whatever, work on something cool. You know what I mean? Dinner, nice, hang out, whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if you look at that, how do you build a business that can get you to that perfect day? And everybody's day is different. I mean, every day is everybody's going to have a different interpretation of what that is. But I think it's real important to understand your strategy, because part of my day was not getting a call that I had to fix something at a rental property. Part of the day was not, a property owner, he's demanding to speak to me because I took over their loan 12 years ago and it's on their credit still. And they're want to, buy a house or do something, lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like, so, some of those things creep into my subconscious, I think, or even my conscious thoughts that, okay, what kind of portfolio do I want?
Yeah.
If you look at the Forbes stats, very, 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 very little of the most wealthy billionaires have it in real estate. And most of them have it in the stock market. Most of it have it in businesses. And that's where they just put their money and live their lifestyle. Right. It's interesting.
I do something similar. I'm just going to mention it here real quick before Bill jumps on, but I do, I wake up in the morning and I do meditation. Sometimes it's guided. Sometimes it's just me sitting there in a quiet space.
Yeah.
But there's one that I love. It's Joe Dispenza. It's a morning meditation. That's what it's called. It's a 20-minute meditation, but it walks you through a visual of what your day looks like.
Where can we find this?
So iTunes, you go to iTunes and it's the morning meditation by Joe Dispenza. He has an evening meditation. Joe Dispenza, yeah.
Dispenza.
The guy is amazing. And anyways, it's one of my favorite guided meditations. And I go through it. I don't know, maybe 3 times a week, and then the rest is just me sitting there in silence and just kind of meditating, sitting on my own. But I try to do it every day. One thing that I added to it a few weeks back was a day recap, and I posted. It's just more of a self-awareness of what I did throughout the day, and I'll sit there right before I go to bed and I'll just do a quick post. I used to think about it and it didn't seem like a lot, right? But now that I write it down and actually throw it out there, put it somewhere, it becomes somewhat of a personal accountability. So I do the post for me. I have this laundry list of things, and then I think about the morning and the stuff that I visualize. And I'm telling you, man, when you lined it up like that, beginning and end, it's like you start just firing in all cylinders.
Love it. Guys, it's exciting time. We've got the incredibly handsome Billy Bell, my original disposition man. Where is he? Here he comes. Hey.
What's up, guys? Good to see you both.
How are you, Billy?
What's up, brother?
Doing good. Just chilling, hanging out.
Billy, how many deals have you sold?
Oh, shit.
Let's go for the neck.
Hundreds? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. We've been doing a lot and been doing it for a while, so I don't keep track. It's impossible now.
Yeah, it's Billy came on. When was it?
2016.
Yeah,
give or take. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to say exactly because I was kind of part-time in, Super Saturday in it for a while, and then jumped in after I got like my first deal with you on the side, and then that's like, all right, let's go full blast. And
yeah, I used to go to Bigger Pockets meetups and try to recruit people to come to my Super Saturdays, Raf. And that was where I would have the dialer and up on a big screen, and people would just take turns making calls and
3 boxes of pizza.
3 boxes of pizza. And Billy would be the only one that showed up. And so he called like maybe a couple people and got his first deal for like 12,000. He's like, oh, okay, this is easy. I'm going to just do this now. And quit his job, started working with us, and started with acquisitions. And then my business partner, Dustin Monger, and I split ways. and Billy took over for dispositions. And once that happened, Billy went and was like trading lists and figuring out how to get all the cash value. So explain that process, Billy, because I think that that's so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, and the biggest one was with Jared Vidalis, and he wanted to, he wanted all the secrets on basically TTP, on how to cold call and all that, because during that time, no one was cold calling, really.
Right.
It was, people were just mailing. That was the only trick, and so we were really hitting it off, and he's like, hey, I've got a pretty fat buyers list. He's really good at building that up. And so we pretty much traded value for value, as you do with buddies in the community. And so I kind of gave him the lowdown, the quick and dirty on all things cold calling. And then, he traded a list, and then I used that to kind of do the same thing for other people. And then it became just, once I had a decent list, then it became valuable just to go list for list,
Yep.
So, hey, you got 500, I've got 1,000. I'll give you my top 500 most active people that are opening emails, whatever, for your 500. And, there's some duplicates on there, of course, because, the world's only so big. But you do that a handful of times. You go from a couple hundred on your list that you've built, especially now you have tools like Investor Lift and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And if you have, there's a bunch of kind of trash tire kickers and stuff you got to sift through on those types of like more public sites that you can kind of just pay to play to get some lists and buyers and shit. But once you go through and vet it out a bit, you can really hone it in and then trade a quality list for other quality lists, and you just go exponential.
Awesome. Yeah. And the bigger the list, the more you make?
Yeah, hands down. It's the only true asset in this business.
Say that again and explain why.
The only asset you have in this business is your list. Your cold calling, or whatever your marketing system is, that's not an asset. Someone could start that up with their, with a couple $100 and have a fully dialed system and the TTP script, within a day. But the thing, how you make your money, how you sell your deals, is having buyers that perform, that you can trust. And the more people you can get to bid against each other, or just the more people out there that have different criteria, the more the chances you are of finding someone that can pay, top dollar for it.
It's one of the biggest mistakes I see too. They'll find 2 or 3 good buyers, and it's like, oh, these guys are my buyers.
Yep.
And then they'll get lazy on the list building. And quit building that out, like stop being proactive on the list building. Now what happens is that you become an employee for those buyers, and then they start
that's what happened with us in Iman. And we were in Iman's office selling him all our deals, and then Billy came in and he was like, who is this Billy guy? I hate this guy. He's selling it to everybody, right? You know what I mean?
I think he still hates me.
Yeah, I think he still does. Yeah. No,
okay.
He's phenomenal.
He looks mean.
Real pillar.
He's not that mean.
He's been doing this. He really taught most of the people in this in Phoenix how to do it.
Yeah, he's a beast,
and he's incredible. But
he's a trailblazer.
So Billy, when you're comping properties, what's your process? Because this show's all about how to comp really fast and how to not let that clog up your system, so that you can make offers and get back to the property owners fast. So what's the best way to do that?
So it depends. If I'm comping in Arizona, where I'm a realtor, I have MLS access, I have all of that, and I know the area, then I go on MLS, I just type in the address, and then it pops up a whole map with a bunch of little buttons up there of what they sold for. There's no like filtering down there. You can do that, but the quickest way that you taught me is just like pull up the neighborhood and start poking around, see what they got. Boom, 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 poke around, kind of feel out what's going on there. And that helps because I know the neighborhood. But if I'm going out of state and I'm using other tools like PropStream or just Zillow or whatever, places that I'm not so familiar with and don't have MLS access to, then, I'll go through and throw the filters in, blah, blah, blah. And we can dive into like exactly how I set filters and stuff. But, you just want to find stuff that's as
how do you set filters, Billy?
I mean, at first I start with square foot and make sure that I'm within, your average house is 1,500 square feet, give or take. So if I go 300 square foot on either side, more or less, and you can kind of the scale slides as you get bigger. You can kind of make that gap a little bit bigger. But another thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to when they comp is the next thing I'll filter out is bedrooms and bathrooms. A lot of people miss this, and they just say, hey, this one
Great
sold
point.
for X amount of dollars per square foot. But like, when it comes to houses, how many kids do you have? It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 square feet, but 2 bedrooms. It's wasted square feet. It's not as valuable.
One bathroom.
One
I
bathroom.
mean, listen, you could have a 1,500 square foot house with one bathroom. There is a very tiny segment of the market that will buy a 1 bathroom house.
Yeah,
it's a huge. I mean, the
Huge
dollar
difference
per square foot is going to make is going to be completely different than the guy down the street that even has 1.5 bathrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big swing. So that's one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people miss is just make sure you're apples to apples on the bed and bath count as much as possible. So I set those things, or at least I'm keeping it in the back of my mind. You know, if I'm within this bubble of square feet as I'm comping, I'm like kind of taking mental notes like, oh, that one only had 1.5 bath, even though it was similar square feet. Next would be the year built. Well, first of all, your geography. Let me back up. You want to stay as local as possible.
Yep.
So I mean, I try never. It's like your number one location. I mean, that's real estate. Location. I try not to leave the neighborhood ever. I'll even go back a little bit more in time, another like 2 months before I'll try to jump, especially a major road or something like that. And then, you know, even if you were to go over a minor road, but it's a different subdivision that was built 30 years later, dude, get out. Don't even bother, you know, stopping in there for a comp. And don't list it. Try not to, when you're selling these deals, don't list the comp, even if it was 1-2 streets over that's 30 years newer. You're just gonna kill your credibility with your buyers, you know, and they're not going to trust your numbers and your ARVs and
Right.
what you're pricing your property at. But yeah, this is pretty much perfect. I go down the line, and a lot of them like Zillow or whatever, if you're just using that, if you're kind of just starting out and haven't invested in all the tools, it's pretty easy to go down the line of the filters. And this is dialed. I would just go down this list exactly. In Arizona, it's pretty easy to comp because there's so much just cookie cutter stuff. But yeah, another one on here that 1 and 2 story stuff. 2 stories are not as valuable as a 1 story, so try to watch that. I know in a lot of places that have basements, you know, your basement square footage is not nearly as valuable as your main floor. I know a lot of people. I think RJ Bates does like 75% of the value for square foot that's underground. That's a great tip. That one's not. You don't run into that in
Interesting.
the market.
Yeah, that's great. Well, even
I
guest houses,
right.
Typically the rule of thumb is like 50.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a little different here now that I'm starting to poke around in Southern California, where ADUs are super valuable because there's just so much density and demand for rental. So that's a little bit different. I'm actually
What's
still
ADU stand for?
Additional dwelling unit. It's a little guest house. You know, some of them are attached, some of them are detached. It's a big play here in Southern California where just there's not enough rentals. So that can add a lot of value. So yeah, there's
do you calculate, Jacob asked, do you calculate beds and baths like Jamil by adding or removing 10K per room?
Yeah. Yes, for the most part, yes, but you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt depending on your market.
I will not compare a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. I will not compare a 1 bath to a 2 bath. I just won't do it. I will fly. I will time travel, Billy, like you said. I'll stay in that subdivision, and I will time travel further back to find a comparable 1 bath or 2 bedroom. I am telling you guys, I have gotten stuck in flips and in wholesale deals thinking that, oh, everybody loves this neighborhood. This is exactly what they buy. Everything. It's pretty comparable. Maybe they'll add. That's why I fool myself. There's enough space in here to add another bedroom or add another bathroom.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you have to re-engineer the whole floor plan, and that turns into a whole nightmare, and you still have to get a huge discount. So, and permits, and you actually have to permit, right?
There's a very few instances where you can buy on potential rather than buy as is, especially in this market where everyone's a little skeptical, everyone's a little conservative. You know, they're not seeing prices go up a couple percent each month. So like, okay, if they're a little off, then, you know, screw it, we got to get in the deal. I almost never, unless you're in a really hot market, never buy on potential. Like, hey, there is room to cut this room in half or add a second bathroom or whatever. Just, you know, okay, you go do that and come back to me and I'll give you that price.
What do you think of this? What do you think of this? I mean, obviously, so I've got adding 20% for ARVs that are greater than 500K, but for a light remodel, $15 to $20 a square foot for renovation, 25 to 30 for medium. Heavy is going to be 40 to 50. That one might be too low, I think, for heavy
it's a little
remodels.
low.
But then also adding 10K each for big items on top of that. So what do you think?
That's what I do. The add K 10K for each of the big ticket items. Roof is maybe 15 on a slightly bigger house, and depending on what kind of roof. So I would say this works in, who knows, call it like 70, 80% of the United States. Like where in a lot of the markets where you're very average median home prices that are, under 500K, the 3 to 500K, and in that range, that kind of just middle range markets, your Jamil's like plus or minus 10, 15K per bedroom is a like good starting rule of thumb, but just, I think you have to really be mindful of where you are at, which market you're chasing. So people will laugh you off the block here in California or even in Arizona, where I still do a lot of my stuff. That's still a little light, but
what would they say?
Expensive. Go back to this. So a light remodel, or a heavy remodels, probably around $50 a foot. Maybe if it's a little bit nicer of a neighborhood where you're having to go a slightly higher end, I would probably be in the $50 to $70 a foot for the higher end stuff. Your 25, 30 a square foot for remodel or medium, and that's probably pretty fair. I would maybe bump that up, 10, 20% depending on the neighborhood you're at. Again, this is for Arizona. And a light remodel, you're 15 to $20 a foot. Also, back to bedroom and bathroom counts. If you only have one bathroom, you can take out 5K easy of renovation. So that's why per square foot is, again, use that as a starting range, rule of thumb, and then kind of look at, where is this, really at? Do I have two bathrooms? I have an extra half bathroom that I need to, put another $3,000 in for or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do when I can't find, for example, if I'm looking for comps and they haven't sold, in 3 months, 6 months, or some areas are just weird, right?
Yeah.
But for adjustments, I go flat 5%. Pool, no pool, 5%, and it's realistically it's like between 5 and 7. For rooms, 5. Again 5%. I just kind of use that if big frontage on a property, plus or minus 5%, right? Depending on the comps. And
if it backs a major road, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a negative, negative 5% on it. And so things like that, I just kind of use that 5, and it's panned out, fairly decent. Again, like the way that I think about it, we're not appraisers, so getting into it, into the exactness of numbers can get daunting. We can get lost in that. But having some rules of thumb just to kind of push the numbers forward, and then throw an educated offer out there is it's key, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is supply and demand, or months of inventory? How does that affect your decision making?
Yeah, the less the inventory, the more aggressive you can be, basically, to just sum it up as much as possible. So we're seeing inventory increase, kind of month over month. So another thing that I would like to bring up is how you look at comps. In a changing, especially a declining market, you also have to look what's on the market. You can't just look 3, 6, 12 months back. It's even more important to look, what's my competition going to be when I actually list this for sale. Sure, there was a couple of good comps that got lucky in the last 6 months, whatever. But if someone, is for sale right now at 20% less than what you're expecting your ARV based off of past comps, and they're still sitting on the market, you're gonna have to compete with that.
100%.
So that's
100%.
And again, that's especially important in a declining market, but any market where you're seeing significant change up or down, you got to look what your competition is.
Philly, you're incredible. Thank you for being on here. Last question. Is it unmanly for me to have a Stanley?
But like this?
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Do you see how tough this fucking thing is? Sorry, I'm probably not supposed to curse on this, but
What?
Tough
But it
nails.
does the handle affect the situation?
Yeah, sorry, that's why I went with this one. I mean, and then the pink, is that red or pink?
No, it's orange.
Is it? It
It's
looks pink on camera, so that's maybe why you're getting
we have
extra
vivid
shit.
we have vivid
Yeah,
it's like the
yeah.
Wholesaling Inc. orange, yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it looks pink on camera, so maybe that's
Because
why
you
you're
had
getting
told me
electric
it's
shock.
not manly to drink out of a straw. But
I have told you that, huh?
Technically, his is not a straw.
I know,
It's a
I know.
little.
That's it.
little
Well, Billy,
I know,
thanks.
yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
you've just got a nozzle or
Good
whatever.
to see you,
but
brother.
Yeah,
love you, buddy.
That's right.
Thanks for
Love you
being on
guys.
here.
Good to see you.
See
Take
you.
care.
Awesome. Guys, real quick, we'll wrap up with this, and then I have gotten a tremendous amount of where'd it go? Whoa, what happened here, Matt? It's not there. It is. Right here, 17 steps to every wholesale deal. One, list a target. This is like your lead generation. So are you going to be proactive and go after a list, or are you going to have inbound leads come to you? Well, either way, it goes to step 2, which is you make contact and have a quality conversation. This is where the skills come in, right? The business is broken down into 3 parts: lead generation, conversion, and exit strategy. The conversion part is the most critical. This is where all the skills are. This is where all of the money is made. All the bread is buttered right there in the conversion middle of your business. And so the middle third of your business. And so you got to really build the skills to asking the right questions to pull out the 4 pillars, which is condition, timeline, motivation, price. Next, that's the whole part is pre-qualifying them, right? Based on those 4. Then after you've had the conversation, you understand, is this a lead or not a lead? Have they made the decision they want to sell? That's when you do your due diligence. You follow up with them, you go on the appointment, you make your offer presentation, they accept the offer. Then you open up escrow deposit, your earnest money, you market the contract to your cash buyers. The cash buyers either walk through it or don't walk through it and make sure that they're good to go. They assign the contract and you make sure that they deposit their earnest funds, right? Once you deposit that, title does their things, and the most beautiful words in real estate, clear to close. That means that everything in title is taken care of. The buyers put in their money, the deal closes, and you get paid, baby.
Bam.
You get paid, baby. That's the day. That's when that's when the biggest decision you have to make, Raph, is do you get the cashier's check or do you get the wire? You know what I'm saying?
The red Lambo.
You know what I mean? You got, and then you take a picture of the check in front of a Lambo and you do a bunch of Facebook ads for the next 30 years and be real cool. I mean, it works, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's our show, guys. Thank you for participating. We're here most Wednesdays, and the show does not happen without you guys. So let's bring everybody in. Come on in, Matt. Come on in, Alejandro, if you want to be on today on behalf of, and Luke's adjusting the camera right now, but thank you guys so much for joining us. Oh, all right. I think she's going for the high towers if by that dress. Matt, Luke, Rafael, and myself. Remember, guys, keep your house clean, your actual house, and in this one, protect your health, increase your value to the world. You'll live a fantastic life. Love you guys. See you next week.